Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Claire. I'm a contract librarian on assignment here with NOAA Central Library, and I'll be the host this afternoon. This seminar series is offered through the NOAA Central Library Seminar Program, which provides an educational forum for the presentation of ideas, research updates, and news in support of NOAA's mission. Before we start, I have a few technical tips for attendees. Just so you are aware, you are muted and you are not able to unmute. However, if you have a question, you can type it into the question panel and we'll get to those during the Q&A. If you have any audio or visual issues, if you can't hear the speaker or see the slides, please try logging off and logging back on, and that will solve most issues in GoToWebinar. Just as a reminder, this is being recorded. If you'd like to revisit this seminar or view previous seminars, you can find them on our YouTube channel. Now I'm going to turn it over to Kiana, who's going to get the presentation started.
Thank you, Claire. Greetings, my name is Kiana Campbell, and I'm the Veteran and Disability Employment Program Manager from the Office of Human Capital Services Talent Acquisition Branch. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to Session 5, the final session of the library series for hiring mechanisms. We would like to thank you for taking the time to attend today's sessions. You play an important role as hiring managers, HR liaisons, and DEIA champions in fulfilling NOAA's mission while pushing workforce diversity through the use of various hiring mechanisms. Today, I'm joined by my colleague from the Office of Human Capital Services, Melvin Jones, Chief Workforce Strategy Center of Expertise Branch, and Colonel Terrance Johnson, Skillbridge candidate in OHCS. Today's goal is to empower you to consider the use of the Skillbridge program as a strategy in your office staffing plans. We plan to accomplish this by showcasing the benefits of the Skillbridge program and describing the things you could consider when offering placement. So we'll cover an overview of Skillbridge, the benefits, the eligibility, training, candidate selection, final steps, and we'll even hear from Col Johnson and Melvin Jones regarding their Skillbridge experiences. So what exactly is Skillbridge? Each year, approximately 200,000 members of the U.S. Armed Forces stationed in over 140 military installations in the U.S. and overseas will separate from active duty and enter or re-enter the civilian workforce or pursue higher education. So Skillbridge is an opportunity for those transitioning service members to be able to gain valuable civilian work experience through specific industry training, apprenticeships, or internships during the last 180 days of service. It's really an opportunity to connect Skillbridge service members with federal agencies and industry partners and really provide real-world job experiences. So why should we even consider using Skillbridge? Well, it gives NOAA the opportunity to access their extensive experience and skills and unmatched work ethics that service members bring to our civilian workforce. It's really the opportunity to catch and test the best talent entering the civilian labor force each year early. And an internship may be crafted to meet your specific workforce needs, matching the skills and abilities of highly motivated transitioning service members. And this really represents a true win-win for the organization and for those transitioning at no cost to the agency. That's FTE nor salary. So how does the service member benefit? Well, it provides them a chance to be able to work and learn in the civilian career area. It also allows them to continue to receive their military compensation and benefits while we provide the training and work experience. So that's why there's no need for NOAA to present an FTE nor be prepared to pay any salary expenses for the service member. It also helps the service member to really bridge the gap between the end of the service and the beginning of their civilian careers. So separating service members can be granted up to 180 days, and the time may vary among the different branches of service. So how are service members eligible for this type of program? Well, they must have completed at least 180 days of active duty in the armed forces, and they must be expecting discharge or release from active duty with an honorable or general discharge under honorable conditions. There are some transition goals, plans for success requirements. They have to attend a DoD ethics training program. They cannot have completed or currently been participating in another program, and they have to be recommended for advancement or promotion. So I tell you these eligibility requirements to let you know that there are some tasks that they must complete before they're even considered for this level or coming to us to express an interest in being a part of an apprenticeship program with us. So what type of opportunities would be a great fit for these candidates? So I am often challenged when people ask me this question because there's a diverse group of people who actually self-select themselves to intern with NOAA. So by that, I mean, we have service members who are transitioning who would like to do the same, sort of extend their military career and just transition it into the civilian world. But then on the other hand, we have people who have been like, well, I've done that for 20 years and I really would like to do something different. I have a degree that I've been working towards in this particular field, and so I'd like to do that. So here's a few examples of things you could consider. They could review work processes and give us input. They could also develop SOPs. They could update information, and they could assist with special projects. But the real answer is any opportunity that you would offer an intern. So I say that to say they're bringing you a breadth of knowledge, information, and really a fresh way of looking at the processes that we do here. So there may be any different level of experienced candidates that you're working with. So really keep an open mind when you're trying to think about opportunities that you could offer them. Training. So training I get asked about a lot. So if there is training required for the service member to complete the task, then we must pay, we meaning NOAA, your office, must be prepared to cover the cost of the training at no cost to the service member. And to provide any necessary skills or equipment to successfully perform the job. And I have a note here that they are not eligible to receive any additional wages or training stipends or any other form of financial compensation for the time in which they're here spending time in our program. And I'd like to point out that I've gotten a lot of questions regarding can they work swing shifts, or holidays, weekends, etc. Please keep in mind that they are being compensated by DoD, and this is really an internship opportunity for them. So they aren't eligible for any overtime pay or any of those extra things that we would give to our regular staff members. They are really here to gain experience and knowledge and try to help ease their transition into the civilian experience. Oops, sorry. So how do you locate candidates, or where do these service members come from? So the Department of Commerce is listed as one of the authorized Skillbridge organizations on the Skillbridge website. Service members visit their site and they I have the word apply here, but let me just explain that. So they have sort of a letter of interest along with a resume that they attach there. And it's really sort of what they have experienced in the military and what area they'd like to work in, and maybe a few sentences about what their career goals are or aspirations. The DLC coordinator forwards those candidates to me as the NOAA coordinator, and then they're shared with our human resources business advisors for distribution to your office. So that's one way that NOAA receives candidates. Alternatively, candidates have reached out to me, the NOAA coordinator, directly with a statement of interest and a resume to be forwarded to hiring managers. In addition to these two methods, I know that we have several service members who are at NOAA who have colleagues who are still in the service who will be transitioning soon. They can also reach out to hiring managers directly and share their intent. I just ask that you please share those people with me so we can keep track of the Skillbridge members that we have on, because the Department of Commerce is the holder of the MOU agreement between us and the Department of Defense, and they do ask me monthly for a count of how many people we have. So, what are the next steps after a candidate is identified? So managers may choose to interview the candidate. I've had some managers who interview one-on-one with the candidate and then decided that it was a good fit and brought the candidate in or either virtually to interview with other members of the team. That's completely acceptable. The candidate will provide a form, and I'm using this word loosely because it really depends on the branch of service that they're in, to the manager to complete. And it really just is sort of an outline of the project or the work that the intern will complete during the internship. So it's sort of like an agreement between the manager and the intern of the work that they'll be doing. So the candidate will have to meet security requirements of the position. Because these positions are really short-term in nature, most of the background investigations that they have been receiving are lower level, so I'll need you to keep that in mind as you're looking through sort of the work that they can complete. They are fingerprinted by our office, even though most of them have at least a secret level clearance, but they are fingerprinted and they do go through the security process. So this is an important note here. Once the candidate has cleared the security process, the manager and the candidate can work on a start date. The candidate doesn't have to start at the beginning of the pay period since they're not an FTE NOAA, an FTE of NOAA, nor are they compensated by NOAA directly. So I'm going to stop there and see if anyone has any questions. I'll give folks a few minutes to see if I see anything in the chat box. Okay, I don't see anything in the chat box. So now that you've sort of heard about the steps to use the program, I feel like it's a great opportunity for me to bring on Col Johnson and Melvin Jones to discuss their experiences with the program with you directly. So Melvin and Col Jones.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me first ask you, Melvin, to introduce yourself, and then I will have Col Johnson to introduce himself.
Hi, as Kiana mentioned, I'm her teammate from the Office of Human Capital Services, and my position is the Chief of the Workforce Strategy Branch Center of Expertise. And I'll pass it over to Col Johnson.
And you are a former service member yourself. We need more.
Yes, okay, so actually, yes, I'm a former service member. I retired from the Army Reserve as a colonel after doing 7 years of active duty and another 23 years as a reservist. So I also transitioned from active duty, joined the reserves, and I became a federal civilian in 1995. So I got to see the program has improved significantly since I transitioned, and I think it's a great program and a great opportunity to help everybody leaving the service continue to serve the public.
Okay, that's great. So, Col Johnson, can you tell us about yourself and your military experience?
Yes, again, good afternoon. At this point, I am a Colonel, United States Army career infantry officer, finishing my 30-year career here in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Like most military folks, I've done a variety of things, a variety of different locations over the last 30 years or so, culminating with my final assignment here assigned to the Pentagon. Became aware of the program through through my separation or transition assistance program, and decided to reach out to NOAA and Mr. Folks or Department of Commerce.
So would you say in your own words that it has been easy for you to navigate the process, Colonel Johnson?
Yeah, so navigating the process is really easy because all the information is there. The key is awareness of the program. So I can't speak for every service, but in terms of the Army or all of the services, if you happen to be in the area of the Pentagon or Washington, D.C., there's lots of information out there, lots of venues or ways you can become aware of the program. So the DoD Skillbridge program, and then under each service, it has a slightly different name and slightly different processes. For the Army, it's the Career Skills Program. So it's very easy for me to get information. The mental challenge is just the transition from the military if you've done 20 plus years. Kind of that hurdle, which the Skillbridge program is great to help facilitate, get you in the different mindset or adjusting your mindset to a different career path.
From a supervisory standpoint, Mr. Jones, how would you say that it was for you to be able to bring Colonel Johnson on board?
I would say it was really easy. I think the process was so easy, probably a good first grader or maybe even a kindergartner could do it. The steps were laid out, they were very clear, and it was easy for me to do, and the timetable was really fast. So as a supervisor,
when you speak of the timetable, how long would you say that took?
I would say it took a couple of weeks, and that was more on my part, going back and forth and figuring out when Colonel Johnson would be available and working out the dates. But the paperwork, that was the easiest part, and it was almost like an email away. I was more the delay. That you did a great job connecting the dots for us, and we had to go back to the Pentagon, get some paperwork signed, but it was really easy and really fast.
What type of skills were you seeking when you were looking for a service member from Skillbridge to support your team?
So one of the things I was looking at is somebody with some project management experience. A lot of people in the military, they do a lot of projects. And also I wanted to get some analytical skills. The military typically has a lot of people with experience, and they believe in continuous learning and education. So that was an asset. So I was able to get Colonel Johnson to come in and lend us some assistance with analyzing some work products, making sure that it was clear language, it was understandable to a new person, and also that they weren't prejudiced by seeing the product for such a long time and working with it intimately. So he has a lot of experience, and he also brought some different perspectives that we hadn't thought about, because the military is I think it is one of the nation's largest employers. And he worked with civilians and military people during his career. So he gave us some ideas that we can employ here at NOAA in human capital strategy.
So on the other hand, Colonel Johnson, what attracted you to the Department of Commerce or NOAA specifically?
Other than being Department of Commerce does a great job of advertising itself on the Skillbridge site, so it's very easy to find. There are very few federal departments on the Skillbridge website. You can approach different departments individually to do an individual program, but the Department of Commerce and NOAA did a great job of advertising itself on the Skillbridge site, which made it easy for me to reach out to them. Seemed like a good department for me to utilize some of the skills as Melvin talked about, just based on the type of work I was looking for and the levels of work I was looking for. Some are familiar with military rank structure. If a service member is looking, or you're looking for a service member at about the major level and above, you're going to get an individual, when not on a bachelor's degree, but probably the master's degree. and some of the civilian certifications that may be required, whether it's SHRM or Lean Six Sigma or PMP. They're going to have some of those certifications as well to make themselves a valuable commodity.
From your perspective, was the onboarding process simple for NOAA? Like I know you said from your service side, it was pretty simple, but for the NOAA side, any paperwork or anything that you had to complete before being onboarded, would you say that that was pretty simple process?
It was extremely simple. It was extremely simple. I think it was one, maybe two forms from NOAA going in to get the fingerprinting and the background check, going in to pick up the equipment. Only required 2 actual physical visits to the office space in itself, which is extremely easy. And from the Army's perspective, it was only one form. It was the Skillbridge program agreement, which Melvin and I figured out is kind of determining what were the goals to be done during the 90 to 120 day period. I mean, you can do up to 180. We agreed for a 90 to 120 day period. So that made it really easy. I was able to get that done and get to work as soon as possible.
So how would you evaluate your work assignments? Melvin, you can stop listening now.
Oh man, it was wow, that's hard to judge. So I chose to learn something new. So I would say from the basis, like Melvin thought, my background is in program management and operations. So working in human capital was very new to me. A very steep learning curve. So some of the things he probably thought were basic information. I was doing research on the side trying to figure out. But not just Melvin, but his whole team made that very easy for me. I was able to reach out to them at any time. So they kind of drug me along through the process and gave me small projects to tackle. But most times it's just learning on my behalf.
Would you say for either of you, were there any challenges working in this virtual environment to complete this internship in this manner?
For me, there weren't any challenges. Probably like a lot of folks, I prefer to be in the office space to truly learn the culture of the organization. I know NOAA is one of the higher rated organizations to work for in the federal government, and to be a part of that would have been even more valuable for me.
From my perspective, it was pretty easy. People in the military, they're used to operating in geographically dispersed environments or working independently, being given some guidance and able to accomplish those tasks. So that was easy. And people in the military are pretty trustworthy. And as I said, they can operate independently with high level tasks. My challenge was working to not seem like I was micromanaging, because I wanted to make sure we had enough touches to make him feel comfortable, because as he said, he's working in something new. But we had the virtual door open for the entire team, so that made it easy. He had us on speed dial, so there was a safe environment to learn and to grow.
Would you talk about your schedule, like how you guys planned your work schedule? Did you guys have a conversation as to, okay, he's going to work on these days, this hour, or was it more flexible? He was working on a project sort of independently and checking back in with you. Would you feel comfortable describing any of that?
So I sat down with him and we discussed the general hours of work. But I gave him flexibility because we had a lot of research and a lot of analysis to do. And so he was able to operate independently. And then we had regular check-ins, just like I do with my other teammates. I treated them just as the rest of the team. And we had an open dialogue. And when he had questions, he asked them. And when I couldn't answer them, I did my research and then I came back to him. So flexibility was there when we needed it.
Did you feel that schedule worked for you, Colonel Johnson, and kept you connected with the team?
Yes, it did. That schedule definitely worked for me. Being new to the process and obviously new to the agency, the more touches, the better, in my opinion. We scheduled a weekly Monday, kind of touch where he was allowed where he was able to mentor me and kind of push me on the process, kind of an open venue for me to ask all the questions that I have, not only about the project, but about government work in general, kind of the pace of operations and what the expectations were.
So since you've served a 30-year career in the military, how did you feel that the culture was different coming to a civilian workspace? Or did you feel it was different?
It's very different, but it is also the same. A professional workspace is a professional workspace, and nothing changes there. So the expectation for conduct and the level of products and work professionalism are the same. I think probably across all government agencies. So that's not different. And customs and courtesies and other formalities that you have in the military aren't there. So a little less structure, and that could be a good thing. I'm looking forward to that lack of some of the structure myself.
Good answer. So Melvin, you sit in a very unique place. So you are a hiring manager now, and you've also served for an extensive period of time in the military. Would you say that this, like you wish this was a part when you were separating from the military, and how might you have been able to benefit from this?
That's a great question. And yes, yes, yes. I wish they would have had this program. I was talking to a colleague earlier. When I transitioned, they were just beginning the process, and it was largely paper driven. I was overseas, and it was more a concept, and I was a pilot, so to speak. But this is a tremendous program because it allows somebody to transition over, to allows federal agencies to leverage their continued public service motivation. They're highly skilled, and they're looking for something different, but also, as Colonel Johnson said, the same. You know, we all have the same mission to support the security of our nation in one way or another. It's all linked, and we have the common denominators of people and processes and technologies that are just a little bit different, but it has improved significantly, and it's also a longer time period that's available. I had to go out on my own and look for opportunities, and this is an awesome opportunity, especially for a hiring manager, because we can, so to speak, try before we buy, but we can also build advocacy and awareness for our organization, because NOAA is a great place to work. But now Colonel Johnson has a story to go out and tell his family and friends about the experience that he had with us, and hopefully he will send some folks our way to help us join the team, some in the pipeline, like maybe elementary school on up through college. I believe he has some kids, and they may be looking for jobs one day, but we need to build for the future and build a strong bench. So we have capable candidates like him, and he has a few, 200,000, did you say, friends that are about to leave the service this year? So we could use a few of them to fill up NOAA.
So Colonel Johnson mentioned that he felt pretty well integrated into the team. What kinds of things did you do to try to prepare your team for his arrival, and sort of what task he would be taking on?
Well, I shared his resume, his qualifications, and his background, and I told him to think about when they came into an organization and how they felt, to make it easy for him and to be open, answer questions, because none of us know it all. And he's gonna complement and augment our capabilities, whereas there's no competition there. We're not competing for jobs, or we're not competing for performance. We're just trying to help each other grow. And they welcomed him with open arms, and put him to task to help make us better as a team. So he did a great job, and I thank him for his contributions and for being willing to learn and to have honest two-way feedback.
I'm going to ask Colonel Johnson one more question. Do you have any sort of advice for hiring managers who would consider bringing someone on in an internship opportunity in terms of making them feel a part of the culture or assignments or anything like that?
Exactly what Melvin and his team did. Just be welcoming to the veterans and give veterans an opportunity. I think they'll be surprised with the wealth of knowledge that the military has. Not many, but they do have scientists as well. I'm not one of those technical experts, but I know NOAA is heavily technical degree-based organization. But you do have other support divisions and services that need other skills. They can find a variety of expertise, whether it's human capital, operations, systems management type folks who can add to their organization. So give them a try. Particularly here in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, you're going to have a lot more senior population of military folks, some of which who will have those technical degrees on lots of knowledge, and not just within the Department of Defense. They're going to have knowledge of all of U.S. government, and kind of the whole of government approach, and lobbying and working with Congress and all those other things that they can take advantage of. Just take the leap, look at some individuals and see what we can fit in the organization. I got a lot of help from Melvin's team, not just about the job itself and the project itself, but just their experience from myself in the federal workspace. Navigating USA jobs was an intimidating thing for me, but they were able to, on the side, give me advice and tips about my resume, about navigating that system as I sought out employment.
So that brings me to a question that's in the chat box. And folks, you can feel free to write additional questions as we progress. One of them is, as the internship goes on and there is a desire to bring on a service member as a full-time employee, is there a path or process for that? The answer to that is yes. But it really just depends on what the grade level of the position is and how the service member is separating. So some people may be able to be brought on under 30% or more disabled veterans. Some people may have to use the VRA. So that just really depends on that. But the short answer is yes. And then we had another question. Will the slides be shared after the presentation? Absolutely. A comment, there is a significant component of project management needed to successfully perform the duties of a facility manager engineer. It seems like this might be a good fit. Do you know if any service members having engineers credentials like ME, PE, etc.? I see a strong head nod. Melvin,
Yes,
you can come up.
I do not, but several do.
So the Army has the Corps of Engineers,
Yes.
and they also have an engineer branch. And I have an engineering degree. Many of the people from graduating from academies, but it's a whole field of professional engineers. Many of them are credentialed, cybersecurity and the other fields. We have like 18 branches of the Army, but throughout the military, as well as not just the active component, but the reserve component, which consists of the Army Reserve and the National Guard. They have gone through the same training, and many of them work in those capacities as civilians. And some of them would love to convert to federal service. So there's other opportunities, not just in the DMV, as Colonel Johnson was alluding to, but also across the nation. I had a active guard reserve person that worked for me that had professional engineering as a license or certification, and he transitioned over to work for the Department of the Army as a civilian in an engineering capacity. They have lots of buildings that are managed and maintained, and the military's got it. They've got the different skill sets that we need here in NOAA. They could fit anywhere in just about all of our nearly 200 occupational series that we have.
I know several folks as well who were architects within the military who transitioned to construction and facility management offices. Mainly, it seems to be kind of an informal pipeline with the Department of Veteran Affairs, but those architects can go anywhere, and they're educated and certified.
So there's another question. We have facility engineer needs at various locations across the U.S. Do you think something like this may be a good fit?
For
Definitely
Colonel
not.
Johnson or for a service member as a whole? I'll let Colonel Johnson answer it for himself.
Not for me. I kind of laid my roots here and kind of set my path. But again, they're service members separating all across the country. And even if they're separated in one location, don't mean they won't relocate to locations based on their desire or where family or where they were reared or something to that opinion. But I think it's definitely something that could be posted on the Skillbridge website where veterans can access it, or to the transition office at a local military installation, whichever is geographically closest, and be surprised how many folks will reach out for that opportunity.
And to piggyback on what Colonel Johnson's saying, if you think about all of the different bases we have, I worked in base operations when I started out, and they all have engineers that manage the facilities. So that skill set is out there in the military and the civilian side as well. So I would say please consider veterans for that occupation series.
But do you think it would be something good for someone to serve in as an intern as opposed to a full-time position? Like, do you think that that's something that someone may start out with interning in and then possibly transition into a full-time permanent employee? Or would you not suggest doing that as an internship opportunity through Skillbridge?
So the military has people separating at all grades and experience levels. And then you have people that do a couple years of active duty or join the reserves after their basic and advanced training. So you have different levels of experience, and the candidates are there. They have the skill sets that could be appropriate for both the intern level and different levels on up to people with advanced degrees. So it really depends on the organization's needs at the time, but we can always think about building the bench and building that advocacy for our organization and preparing for tomorrow. You know, we're not just concerned with today, but we're also thinking about tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, because we need that talent pipeline, because retirement and separations are risks that every organization faces, and we want to take advantage of people transitioning from DOD. And the Army has a Soldier for Life program, which they didn't have when I started out, but it could be the Soldier for NOAA program if we take advantage of the DOD Skillbridge program and these veteran hiring authorities that we have.
I just want to mention that I am only highlighting the Skillbridge program today, but we do have MOUs with the non-paid work experience program through the Veterans Administration, in addition to the Wounded Warrior program. So a different candidate pool for each program. I feel like the Skillbridge is going to bring you probably the most skilled, higher echelon of talent that the military is separating. And so I featured this particular program today, but we do have MOU agreements with the other ones. So I just wanted to put a shameless plug in for the other programs too. Can the internship start at any time? And the question is yes. Service members separate daily. So we are open to starting the internship program at any time. If you have multiple, someone said they have multiple vacancies in their office, can they start multiple interns at the same time? Yes, you can. We encourage cohorts. So yes, you can. Is there a limit to the number of interns that we could bring on? No, the DOD will happily place as many as we are willing to take. And I see Colonel Johnson nodding his head. Yeah, they're happy to place them all. Where can you find the Skillbridge website? The Skillbridge website is skillbridge.osd.mil. It's actually a DOD website. We don't know, it doesn't manage that. Are data processing skills a common type of internship? I'm guessing. I don't know what else you would have the service member do in addition to data processing, but I would assume there would be other duties in addition to that. Melvin or Colonel Johnson, do you have any input on that?
So I would say the military has a lot of computer folks, programmers, finance people. Many are certified in that type of skill set. So it's not just people driving tanks or shooting rifles or launching big bullets and missiles. There's a lot of support skills or technical skills that go into those skill sets. So pretty much all of the skill sets that NOAA has, the military has something comparable, either on the active or the reserve component that could transition over and at different levels of experience in education. So you could get a trained candidate that's ready to transition over, or somebody who wants to get into something else may have educated themselves either by funding it themselves or by taking advantage of tuition assistance, so they could possibly come on as a recent graduate or with the skill set that you're looking for.
So this is a question targeted at Colonel Johnson. I think this is a great one. So just for the record, we actually just received the MOU for Skillbridge this last fiscal year. And we piloted in the Office of Human Capital Services first, because I wanted to see exactly how easy it was and was it as simple as everyone marketed it to be. So thank you, Melvin, for being the second person to sort of fly the plane with me. But the question for Colonel Johnson is, based on Colonel Johnson's experience, are there any recommendations he may offer on how NOAA can improve the Skillbridge program or our internal processes to reach potential talent?
The process itself, I think, worked well to me. Again, I was given access not just to Melvin, but all of his team. Did a great job reaching out, even from at the division level and at the director level, and deputy director reached down to me to make sure I was getting all information, getting all the opportunities I needed. So I think the processes work well with me. In terms of improvement, I just think awareness. There are a lot more veterans than you think. And somebody mentioned before, if I have multiple positions, where I'm saying I know multiple veterans who would love those opportunities. So I think it's a win-win for the veteran population and for NOAA. You find individuals at every skill level, like Melvin said, Skillbridge particularly, you're going to get your more experienced folks who have a lot of those certifications that may be required or desired for some of the other positions. But I'm not just being overly nice by giving NOAA an A+, but it was an A+ experience for me coming on board. Everybody was nice, giving me opportunities, including me in the process, seeking out my expertise or viewpoint from that of a veteran. Not much else to add.
One of the things that I think is good that we have is the different employee resource groups and exposing folks to them. A lot of times when people come in, they're looking for something to help support them, outside of their regular coworkers. And luckily we have 12. We also talked about some affinity groups, which can help ease the transition and make people feel like they belong in the organization. And I think that's a benefit that we could use. Maybe we could start a DoD Skillbridge affinity group if we get enough people into the pipeline here.
That's a great idea, Melvin. So the person who asked about data processing was like, yes, they're looking for IT type skills, coding and programming. So absolutely, the military has tons of those. The military has a transition assistance program, just an FYI, that's not connected specifically to Skillbridge, and which service members come through as they're starting to leave the military. So they all have coordinators at bases across the US and even internationally who I can reach out to and share any job opportunities that you have. And we have had several service members join actually NOAA Fisheries Enforcement using the Transition Assistance Program and their coordinators to sort of funnel through. I do attend the virtual sessions now for some of the military bases for the service members and tell them about NOAA opportunities. So if you would like for your opportunity to be included in that discussion, please feel free to reach out to me and I will be more than happy to share it because those candidates who are 30% or more disabled or who qualify under the VRA, if your position fits within those requirements for the VRA appointment, don't have to go through USA Jobs, and it may be a fast sort of fill for your vacancy. The other thing that I would like to mention is that some of them have one last move. So a lot of people are worried about their budget and relocating people. In some instances, you may not have to cover that either. So I think you should really give this pool of candidates consideration, not just the Skillbridge, but that's my shameless plug. So I will close this out by saying thank you so much, Mr. Johnson, for coming to share your Skillbridge experience with us. And we hope that it has been a delightful experience. And we hope that you'll consider applying for some real opportunities with us paid. And for Melvin, for sponsoring Mr. Johnson in your office and providing what seems to be a great relationship for him and for your team to be able to work with a veteran as well and to see how the Skillbridge program works. It looks like I don't have any additional questions. So I will close this out with, sort of from you, Melvin, do you have a plug for the Skillbridge program? And then finally from you, Mr. Johnson.
I would say please use the program. It's too easy and you may find the right candidate to help take your program to the next level. It's a lot of hidden talent out there. You just have to ask for it. Over to you.
I say the same thing. Take advantage of the talent that's out there. You can help fill NOAA vacancies and help alleviate some of the stress that veterans have in transitioning.
I would like to thank you both again for your time and also for the attendees. This has been a very interactive session and great questions that you guys have asked us. If you have additional questions or you would like to bring on a Skillbridge intern, please feel free to reach out to me directly and I will be more than happy to connect you with some candidates. And then other than that, I don't see any more questions. So you guys have a great afternoon and you have about 12 minutes back in your day. See you soon.
Take care. Thanks so much.